A $60 bag of premium lawn food and a $2 scoop of plain nitrogen will turn your grass the exact same shade of deep green. One of those products features a special coating and a brand logo on the front of the packaging. However, your lawn cannot read that logo. It has absolutely no idea what brand fed it. It responds to one single element, and that element costs almost nothing when you purchase it by the name the farmers use instead of the name the garden center prints on the bag. Here is what you will walk away with today. The single powder that greens a lawn as dark as any premium product for a tiny fraction of the price. The exact application rate and the one critical step in between that decides whether it feeds your grass or scorches it brown in a single afternoon. And the most popular homemade lawn trick on the internet, the one half of your neighbors swear by, that actually does nothing for your grass. And I will show you exactly why with the chemistry. Grass wants nitrogen. That is the whole secret the premium bag is built around. Of the three numbers printed on every fertilizer bag, nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, nitrogen is the one that drives the green and the growth. Phosphorus feeds roots and seed. Potassium handles stress and disease. But the color, the thickness, and the lush look you are actually paying for, that is nitrogen and almost nothing else. A lawn that looks hungry is a lawn that is short on nitrogen. Feed the nitrogen, and the green comes back. That part is not complicated, and it is the part the marketing quietly agrees with. So the only real question is, what is the cheapest way to put nitrogen on the ground? And the answer has been sitting in farm supply stores the entire time. Ammonium sulfate. The bag reads 2100. That means 21% nitrogen and a bonus 24% sulfur riding along with it. A 50 lb bag runs around $26 at a farm or feed store, and that single bag covers 10,000 square feet at the standard feeding rate. Do the math on a normal suburban lawn, and you are spending roughly $2 to feed 1,000 square feet of grass. The same patch fed with a premium branded bag costs you 15, 20, or sometimes even more. Identical nitrogen, identical green. The grass cannot tell the difference because chemically there is no difference to tell. So what is the extra money buying? It is a fair question, and the honest answer is not a scam, it is a coating. Premium bags use slow-release nitrogen. The granules are wrapped in a polymer or sulfur shell that dissolves gradually so the feeding spreads out over 6 or 8 weeks instead of hitting all at once. That is a genuine convenience. It means you can be careless and still not burn your lawn. What you are paying the premium for is forgiveness, the freedom to not pay attention. Ammonium sulfate is quick release. It is raw and it is fast. It greens hard within days, and it asks one thing of you in return for the savings: that you follow a single rule when you put it down. Skip that rule and the cheap bag punishes you. Follow it and you fed your lawn for $2 and pocketed the rest. Before I give you that rule, let me kill the myth, because if you search this topic, you have already been told the wrong answer. Epsom salt. Every homemade lawn recipe online tells you to dissolve Epsom salt in a sprayer and soak your lawn for a deep green. Epsom salt is magnesium sulfate, and here is the chemistry the recipe leaves out. Magnesium only greens a lawn that is actually deficient in magnesium, and almost no lawn is. Every major university extension office, including Michigan State, North Dakota State, and Washington State, has tested this and landed on the same finding. If your soil already has enough magnesium, and it almost certainly does, adding more does absolutely nothing for the color. Worse, magnesium and calcium compete for uptake in the soil. Pile on excess magnesium, and you can actually block the calcium your grass needs. The Epsom salt trick feels scientific because it involves a powder and a sprayer. It just happens to be feeding a deficiency your lawn does not have. Save it for your sore feet. It was never going to green your grass. Now, the rule that makes the cheap powder work: water it in immediately. Ammonium sulfate has what is called a high salt index, a 69 on that scale, which is high enough that if you spread it on a dry lawn and walk away, the granules pull moisture straight out of the grass blades and leave you with brown burn streaks within a day. That is the entire reason people fear cheap nitrogen. They did not water it in. So you spread it, then you water it deep within the hour. A good soaking, enough to carry the granules down off the blades and into the soil where the roots can take it up. Do that, and there is no burn, just the green. Skip it on a hot afternoon, and you will see exactly why the premium bag sells forgiveness. The rate is half a pound per 100 square feet. That works out to about 5 pounds across 1,000 square feet. Spread it as evenly as you can. A cheap handheld spreader is plenty. Because ammonium sulfate greens so fast, any uneven streak shows up as a dark stripe a week later. Even, light, and water it in. That is the whole method. Once in early summer, again in late summer, and your lawn never knows it was not fed from a $60 bag. Here is the part that turns the savings into something better than the premium product. That sulfur riding along in the bag, the 24% nobody talks about, is doing a second job for free. Sulfur gently lowers soil pH. Most struggling lawns, especially in hard water regions, sit slightly too alkaline. And in alkaline soil, grass physically cannot absorb the iron that drives deep color, no matter how much you feed it. The sulfur in ammonium sulfate nudges that pH back down over a season, which unlocks the iron that is already in your soil. So the cheap powder does not just match the premium bag. Over a couple of seasons, it fixes a problem the premium bag charges extra to address with added iron. You are getting the nitrogen and a slow soil correction in the same $2 scoop. One more, because it pairs with this and it is nearly free. If you want to push the color even further, mix in a cup of plain blackstrap molasses with the water you are soaking it in. Not for the grass, but for what lives under it. The sugar in molasses is pure carbon, and carbon is food for the soil bacteria that break down nitrogen into the form roots actually drink. A well-fed micropopulation cycles your nitrogen faster and holds it in the soil instead of letting it wash away in the next rain. The catch is honest. This only works if the microbes are already there, and in most established lawns they are. It will not replace the nitrogen. It makes the nitrogen you just paid $2 for go further and last longer. A jug of molasses costs a few dollars and lasts you a whole season of feedings. That is the system. Ammonium sulfate for the nitrogen and the green. Watered in hard so it feeds instead of burns. The sulfur quietly correcting your pH while it works. A splash of molasses to feed the soil that feeds the grass. The deepest lawn on the street fed for the price of a coffee, while the bag that promised the same thing sits on the shelf asking 30 times more for a coating you do not need. Share this with the one neighbor who still hauls home the heavy bag every spring, and I will see you in the next one. If this story changed the way you look at the grass in your yard, please subscribe and like the channel. We are unearthing the secrets that the big brands have tried to bury. Let's cultivate a better future together. The next treasure of knowledge will be revealed soon.